everybody, I'm Clay Souza, a wedding and portrait photographer in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. In this tutorial, I'm going to go over the very basic concepts of Photoshop. I want you to feel comfortable navigating inside Photoshop. I'll show you a few tools, your workspace, and the concept of Photoshop layers. This is just the first of a series of tutorials I'll be doing. The goal here is to build your Photoshop skills from ground up. So let's get started. I started using Photoshop many years back because my background is in computer science. And when I was in college, I started developing websites. I started using Photoshop to create graphics. And now I'm using Photoshop as a photographer. So it's a whole different type of thing that you have to use. Let's talk a little bit about what you need to have. So Photoshop is a memory hog. I mean, either like it or not, it has gotten much better with years, but it still takes a lot of memory. So every time I'm using Photoshop, I have this machine has like 64 gig of RAM. This machine is really with 64. I can handle Photoshop and Lightroom at the same time. I have another one here, which is like I think it's at 16 gig. When I open Photoshop and Lightroom, you can it's just like too much. Lightroom also takes a lot of resource on your machine. If you've seen that happen in Photoshop and Lightroom together, close Lightroom and stay with Photoshop because it takes a lot of memory. There are several versions of Photoshop right now. Maybe what you're going to see here is not exactly what you see over there, but everything I'm going to do here, you guys can do on your version. Maybe it's in a different location. You just need to look where it is. If you're looking for a new machine or something like that, buy a new machine with a good graphic card, because Photoshop can use your graphic card as the memory on a graphic card as a resource to load Photoshop faster and make it work faster. It's always a good idea to put a good graphic card on your machine if you're going to use Photoshop, right? So in the beginning, one of the things that I have on my setup here, let me show you. If I go to Edit, Preferences, and File Handling over here, I have this thing checked: automatically save recovery information every 10 minutes. This means that if you, let's say you're working on Photoshop, like for half an hour working this image, and Photoshop crashes. Boom, done. So this will guarantee you that every 10 minutes it gets saved, a version of the image gets saved. It's a really good safeguard so you don't lose your stuff. You can drop this down here. You can have every 5 minutes, every 10, every 15, 30 minutes, and 1 hour, right? Just keep in mind that it will save in the background. It's not going to make you stop and save it. You're not even going to see it saving, right? But keep in mind that it takes resources from your machine. So if you make like every 5 minutes, it will take resource of a machine. If your machine is already slim on resources, that may make things run a little bit slower for you. Let me see if I can. Yeah, cool. All right. Hold on a second. I'm just doing. All right, cool. I just moving my stuff around here so I can see who is logged in. All right, so this is something that I would strongly advise you to do. Go there. Let me go back there again, show you guys where it is. I'm going to Edit, Preferences, and File Handling. That's going to show this screen, and this is the guide that we're going to automatically save recovery information and then you can drop down here for whatever. I have it saved in every 10 minutes. I have it saved before in 15 minutes. All depends how you feel comfortable. So what happens in this case, let's say you work on an image and Photoshop crashes, right? When it crashes and you restart it, we will reopen your image where you stopped, which is kind of nice. And then you go, then I'm 100% sure you're going to go like, duh, let me save this before it happens again. It has happened to me a few times and I've done this, all right? So, yeah. One of the things that I want to talk about for Photoshop is that people get stuck is the layer concept, which is a blessing in Photoshop that you don't have that in Lightroom. Photoshop works with layers, so this makes it what we call a non-destructive application, meaning if you make a change to a layer, you can always go back and edit that layer as long as the file is saved as a PSD format, right? Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to load on one of my images here. Actually, this is how you open an image. This image has a PSD. I don't know if you guys can see this, it's big enough, but it has a PSD extension to it. PSD is a native extension of Photoshop, right? So everything you save, it will save as a PSD. You can save it as a JPEG, a TIFF, a PNG, but it will save also as a PSD. Meaning, when I open this image, pay attention to my layer panel here. Can you see the layer panel here on the right? Here, right? It's empty.
Sure.
Empty because I don't have any images, right? But all I need to do is to grab this image, drag it here to my workspace. It's going to open. Look what happens. Now I have all of those layers. Those layers are the layers that I worked with before I finished this image, right? This is what we call a non-destructive editing application. So it doesn't, when you can always go back to the state you were when you finish if you save as a PSD format, right? So the cool thing about this, let's say I have all of these layers here, and you can see they are renamed like curves, hue and saturation, burn, dodge, HDR, dress. So I know on this layer here, watch the dress, watch her dress. See? I can turn it on and off. Can you see the difference there, guys?
Yes, big time.
Yep. But can you see how I'm toggling the visibility of the layer? I'm hiding it and showing it. You see the little icon here? So
is that an action that you have, or is that kind of dodging and burning to create that HDR effect?
That is a dodge and burn to create the effect.
Okay.
All right. I do dodge and burn by hand. I actually have plugins to do HDR. I start there lightly and then I adjust here. For instance, this layer here, I can name this layer anything. If I double click on the layer name, you're gonna see, and I can name it popcorn if I want to, right? So don't double click on the icon, double click on the layer name, right? And just say, what was it before? Curves, right? Curves one.
Curves one.
Right? So this layer is actually to create, you can see this image has a very matted effect. The colors are very muted. This layer was created just for that. If I turn it off, look how you're going to change the image completely. See? Yeah. So this is a great feature of Photoshop. You can split all your work into those different layers, and then you can turn them off. You can set opacity on them. Let's say I create this layer. If you look over here on the right, we have 100% opacity over here, right? And I said, oh no, that's too much opacity. I like the effect, but it's too strong on the image. I can drop it here and just decrease the opacity on it. Look. See, now I'm at 88% opacity and not as strong as it was before. And if I save this image, it's going to save those settings, right? So hue and saturation. If I turn this on off, this image, guys, I need to tell you that I have already added. This is not straight out of the camera. The image didn't come out of the camera like that. Don't think that, because sometimes we look at those people and say, oh my goodness, everything he clicks is magic. No, I can show you I'm going to show you the straight out of the camera. Before I do that, I need to talk to you about Adobe Camera Raw. Adobe Camera Raw is the predecessor of Lightroom. It's a plugin that comes already with your Photoshop. You can access it by going to Filter. Oh, I don't have any layer. Okay, let's go to this one here. Filter and Camera Raw Filter, right? It's going to open a whole new application inside Photoshop, right? Is it familiar? If you're familiar with Lightroom, you're going to start seeing some similarities. You can see we have the eyedropper, the white balance tool. We have the transform tool. We have the spot removal tool, which is in Lightroom. Red eye removal. You have the adjustment brush. You have the graduated filter. And if you go here, here's how I manipulate this image, right? Let me just do something here before I mess it up. I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to show you how to do this later on. I'm going to duplicate this layer, this image, put it down there, and open Camera Raw. And you may ask, oh, but you didn't go there. I'm big on shortcuts. I mean, if you're going to see me working, I hardly ever move my hand out of the keyboard because I know a lot of shortcuts. I'm lazy that way. I think it's too much time you spend doing mouse, keyboard, mouse, keyboard. I try to learn as many shortcuts as I can. So if you look at here, you have filter. This is probably for every Windows application or Windows application you have the shortcut right here. So for the shortcut for Adobe Camera Raw is Control-Shift-A. You're going to open it. Now I can start manipulating this image over here. I can.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you do that, is there an order in which you should do it? In other words, once you bring an image in, let's say you open an image into Photoshop that you've already edited in Lightroom, is there an order in which you shouldn't, like, should you do ACR raw before you do anything else, or can you do other things and then do ACR raw?
No, you don't have to. I mean, Camera Raw, you transition between the same way you go from Lightroom to Photoshop and back into Lightroom and you save the image, right?
Okay.
Same thing over here. If you look over here, I have my cancel and I have my OK button. But when you go into Lightroom and you open an image in Photoshop, you will open Photoshop, not in Camera Raw, right? And then from Photoshop, you can go into Camera Raw.
Okay.
From Photoshop. You can't go from Lightroom to Camera Raw because they're pretty much the same application, right? Lightroom just have more stuff into it, right? I personally use way more often the Camera Raw than Lightroom. So here I can do my temperature here. See, I can make it a little bit magenta. I can add contrast to this thing. You know, way I do contrast, I don't use the contrast slider. I think it puts a lot of damage the skin a lot. I up my whites and low my blacks and shadows and things like that, right? So now let's say I work on this image and I click OK, and that will save this image. Whatever I did there is going to be saved here in Camera Raw, in Photoshop, right? So this is I'm bringing the Camera Raw into the game because if you open a CR2 file, which I straight over the camera file, if you drag it into Photoshop, or if you double click on it, you're going to see I double click. That's the straight over the camera shot. See, it opens on Camera Raw. This is what came out of the camera, right? Everything else got added in Photoshop, Lightroom and Photoshop, going back and forth. My workflow is, if it is something simple to do, let's say I need to remove the soft box here, right? It's easier to do that in Lightroom than in Photoshop, than I do in Lightroom. So I do all the cleaning and the small things in Lightroom. Okay, now I get the base image the way I want it, then I will move into Photoshop and do the kind of beautifying the image. Like skin, I always like the skin treatment on Photoshop better than in Lightroom. We actually, when you do, not for this type of image, this was an image that was like an epic image that we did for the couple. I knew they're going to buy a big image, so they're not the main focus. So we treat the skin on Lightroom. But let's say if it's a big facial portrait of a bride, we usually do the skin retouching in Portrait Pro because it's going to be very visible. So we do in Portrait Pro instead of, if it's small like that, we really don't care much. So I mean, don't care, but we don't spend a whole lot of time because it's not going to be able to see it. But this is what I want to show you guys. I want to show you that when you open an image on a Camera Raw, you can either double click on it or you can drag it to your workspace and you're going to open Camera Raw. And then you do whatever you need to do here on Camera Raw. And then when you click open image, it's going to open in Lightroom. Oh, I'm sorry, in Photoshop.
Oh, Photoshop.
See? Now you open that image in Photoshop. Then I go with my editings from there. Right? So let me bring back. Guys, have any questions?
Yeah, I have two questions.
Go ahead.
First, is Camera Raw different from the tool that you selected inside Photoshop?
Yes.
You double-clicked an icon, you double-clicked a CR2 file
Yes.
on the desktop, and it opened up Camera Raw,
Correct.
and then you clicked a button to go to Photoshop. Is that a different application from the one where you were in Photoshop and selected filter, Camera Raw filter?
Gotcha. Very same application. Same thing.
Same application, just
Same
two different
application.
ways that you got into
Two
it.
different ways to get into that. And you can also do the shortcut.
Okay.
Control-Shift-A.
That's fine.
You can open Camera Raw.
Second question, is the adjustments that you make in Camera Raw done to the background or to a separate layer?
It's done to the background.
So it is destructive to the background.
It is destructive to the background. What I do every time, guys, I'm working with a image, I always duplicate the background layer, always. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Because you have your background layer. As you can see here, every image that you open is going to have that background. You see that little padlock in there? That background is locked. You can't move it. You can't do anything. I mean, you can't really. So if I try to move this, oh, I move my mask. Hold on. Let me see. I have a non-layered version of it. Let me bring that in there.
Well, you have that particular curves layer selected.
Oh, well, it's because when I click on it, it goes right to the layer.
Yeah. Click on the background layer.
Yeah. But if I click on the background layer, if I click anywhere here, we'll pick whatever is on the top. You see? Look at my layer. Look at my layer thing here. I select the background. Now I'm going to go over here and click. Look, you select the curves layer because right here where I click, there's a curves layer there. It selects the layer. I can show you a little bit easier on another image. That's my JPEG. Oh, I don't have a JPEG version of it. All right, let me do this. Let me save this as a JPEG. And I'm going to show you how to edit this. And I'm going to put like temp on this one. And it gives me the resolution. All right. So now I have this temp image here. I'm going to close it. All I did here, guys, was to save this image that was in PSD format into JPEG, right? Now you can see the extension here is JPEG. So I bring it over here. You guys are going to see all my layers are gone. Look, I totally destroyed the image, right? Let me open the PSD version. Same image, PSD extension. All my layers are there, right? On the JPEG, everything gets flattened. Now you can't go back to the work that you did. So every time I start working on Photoshop with an image, the first thing that I do, I duplicate that layer. Now, you can see the background layer. Every time I open an image, it comes with a background layer. Look, background. Let's name it background, right? And it comes locked also. You have two choices. The one that I choose to do 100% of the times, I duplicate this layer. How do I duplicate it? I grab it by the name. This is the new layer icon here, down here, where my cursor is. And I drag the layer to the new layer icon, and it creates the background copy layer. Then I can go in here, double click on it, and rename it to base image.
Clay,
Yes.
can I ask one thing?
Sure.
You save on the desktop both? This duplicate or just the final? Do you understand what I mean?
I don't. I don't.
Now, so you grab the photo on the desktop,
Yes.
just the duplicate, and then you got the PSD. So you save here when you work, or you save before or later, or just for cheat us?
Well, I have this image, right? What you're saying is that I have this image, the PSD version,
Right.
right? And I can go here, File, Save As,
Yes.
and save it, right?
Right.
So over here, it asks me Save As type. By default, will come as Photoshop, which will save as a PSD, will preserve your layers. But I want to save as a JPEG. I drop down here and save as a JPEG. Now, when I save this image, you flatten all the layers. I'm not going to have any control over these layers anymore.
Yes, yes.
So if it's an image that you have finished it, save a version of Photoshop and save a version on JPEG to put online to do what you need to do, send to the printer or not.
But you have to save them separately. I think, Gilda, is what you're asking is if you save one, does it save the other?
Yes, yes. To preserve the
Layers?
image.
You have to save them both.
After you have the raw, of course, but when you save on the desktop, to save to not the structure, just you save on.
You save as a PSD file.
Yes, yes, with the layers.
Yes.
Yes, I know, but okay, I understand.
But if you save as a JPEG, we'll compress all your layers into one.
Yeah.
Then you don't have access to those layers to make changes anymore.
I think my next question is for future, but can I say now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I use actions in my photos. Sometimes I have to flat, but when I flat, I don't have all the layers. How I work with no flatten?
Well, if you flat the image,
Yeah.
means I'm going to compress all those layers together.
Yes.
So if you want to keep the layers, you have to save a version of the image in PSD
Before I flat.
before you flat. Then you save another version, flatten.
Every time, because sometimes I try to use the tools on the left side, and then I decide to use on action, but between them doesn't work.
Yeah, because they're flattened, right? You only flatten an image when it's finished. That's the only time.
But sometimes Clay doesn't work. I try to work like a lasso tool or something, is not work. It's because my layer is under, or it's about the position, about the layers or not?
It could be the sequence of the layers, yes. It could be.
Okay.
If there's a mask on it, it's not going to work. For instance, those images here have masks on them. You see some have a black background, some have a white background. Those are different masks. So if I try to do something here, it's only going to affect the white part of the image, not the black part of the thumbnail here.
And Gilda, this is Jorge. You might need to select when you're doing the lasso or something, above to the right, it has sample all layers. And that way you're kind of like filtering through everything below that layer that you have.
Okay, thank you.
So
I have the same problem when I use portraiture. I can't use portraiture or noiseware unless I flatten first.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because the position of the layers, not if I use a layer mask.
Yeah, that could be one reason. There are several reasons why it could be happening.
Can
But
you
we can go offline, and I can work with you on that one and figure out what's going on there. Okay.
Okay.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Cool. All right. So, is it clear here, this whole flattening thing? I mean, is it clear to you guys? Because this is quite important, actually. Is this clear? Do you guys have questions on it or not?
It's clear.
All right, cool. So this is the main thing that I want you guys to get in Photoshop, like this concept of layer. And I can show you Um, okay, so Pam will have to jet because the baby's over there. All right. Okay, cool. The workflow that we work with, that I work with, is like I always keep this is a wedding that we did in the beginning of the year. Sorry, I'm confused. End of last year. And I still have the PSD images because I like trying different techniques. As I learn them, I go back to the image. So I don't do that for every image. I just do that for my epic images, right? So for the ones that I know I'm going to sell big wall arts, that type of stuff. So that's how I do it. Everything else gets flattened and moved on. And actually, 90% of my images don't even see Photoshop. Unless there is something in Lightroom that Danny is not able to do, I bring it to Photoshop and I do it, flatten it, and send back. Because this creates really, really large file sizes. So what happened to this image that I'm showing you, that I can show you when I show you the raw version of it? That's straight out of the camera. I work on that image until I got to this point where I wanted it, right? I worked this image until here. This is what I looked at and say, okay, this is it. This is the final image. So I flatten it, save the version, and I saved the version in Photoshop. Then 2 days later, I went back. I think I can improve the image, and start as I turn on each layer. You're gonna see the image may change a little bit here and there. See, and exactly what I did here. Look at that layer one. It's exactly copy of the background layer. Exact copy, right?
Hey, Clay, when you make those copies, do you make it a smart object, or you just leave it as same thing as the same image before?
I leave it the same thing it was before. If I need to, I think if I need to, I convert to a smart object for the filters. But usually I leave the same way it was.
Why you will save smart object, like if you need?
Because
What reason?
because sometimes it's easier to get back, depending on the version of Photoshop that you have. I think this version, because this version is different from the other one. It all depends on the computer. I'm always confused which one I'm using. But in the past, to be able to go back, once you saved it, to be able to go back to the filter and change the filter, you have to convert to a smart object.
Right.
Now I think it does that automatically. I think that's what it does. So I just got used to it, and it depends which machine I am. I'm doing differently. But the point here is, if I turn off this image, I have a transparent background, right? Yeah. So if I close this on, here's my transparent background. So I have the image here, and then I have a copy of the image. Now, every of this layer that I turn on, you should see a difference. So this is a working address. You see, this, I can go back and be very selective about this. This one here, this one is Dodge. Look at the address, right? This one is burning. Look, right? To create that contrast and stuff, the depth, hue and saturation. Hue and saturation is just for the sun. Look at the sun back there. Can you see it? The difference here?
Yeah.
So, and curves to put the matte and remove the matte. So this is the cool thing about, I can go to every single part of this image and work on them independently. So let's say I show this to my client, the client say, I don't know if I like the burning or not. I can go back here and turn off the burning, and there you go. Mm-hmm. Right? This is power that you don't have on Lightroom, power that you don't have on Camera Raw.
Right.
Right? Then you don't have if you flatten it neither. So That's like one of the main concepts of Photoshop that people have a hard time understanding what layers and how they work. Layers are different. We're going to dig deep into layer in another opportunity, but you have all of those layer styles over here. But I don't want to get into that because it's a whole thing in layers by itself. So what I want to show you guys is, you guys can take out of it is like background layer. How do I duplicate it? Drag it to the new layer icon. That's one way to do that. Rename it. Double click on the name and just rename it, right? Or now I want to delete this layer. I don't want this layer anymore. Grab it and drag to the trash can right here. And it's going to go away. A shortcut, I mean, I think it's a lot of work just drag the thing. Shortcut to duplicate layer, Control J. Watch. Control J. And I want to delete them all. I don't know if there's a shortcut to delete. Jorge, you know if there's a shortcut to delete layer?
Maybe the delete key. I don't know.
I usually use the
That might be it.
It's a wild guess, my friend. See, there's a shortcut. See?
That's what it is. I never tried it. I always drag these things. See? Always learning something new. Cool. So Control J to duplicate it, delete to delete it. Now, if I try to delete the background layer, I can't because it's locked. And again, is there a way to unlock it? There is a way to unlock it. Do I advise you on doing that? No, I don't recommend unlocking it. If I double click on this layer here, it's going to ask, okay, it's going to set up as a new layer, layer 0. Now it's unlocked. Now I can do anything I want with this layer. Now it became dangerous, right? Now I have a very high possibility I'm going to destruct this image and can't go back and fix it again. I don't recommend doing that. So always duplicate your layers. So another thing that I want to show you guys is the workspace. Photoshop is very customizable. All of this you see here. Here's my tool panel, and here's my tool modification panels, and everything I have here is related to this, which tool I'm select. I want to go through those tools, but I want to show you this first. If I go into Edit, Preferences, and I think it's Interface. Yeah, Interface. I get to this screen where I can't pick because I don't think Photoshop comes out of the box with these colors. You can pick which you want to use. Look, right? I picked this one here because it's a neutral gray. That's not gonna affect my eyes to the image. I tried this one for a little while, but it was that I started noticing my images were coming out really contrasty. So what is happening? So that's because the panel colors are affecting my eye, the way the colors interact with each other. So I picked this one because it's closer to the neutral. I don't know if it's neutral, but it's closer to the neutral gray. Those two, I used this one for a while. It was too heavy for me. This one was like too bright. My eyes were getting hurt. So this is another thing. I look at your interface and try to adapt to what's comfortable to you. Okay. So the way to get here, you go into Edit, Preferences, Interface, and you pick the one that you want. Right? Let's talk a little bit.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
What if you want to change the options that you have in your left? Like, for instance, I don't have dodge and burn. If I want to go to dodge and burn, I have to go down to those 3 dots at the bottom and go find it.
Yeah. Well, you have a limited amount of space here, right? I also have the same problem. I think you can drag one of those over here. I'm sorry. Let me show how I got there. You hold and click and hold, and the edit toolbar will pop. right?
Okay.
Now you can drag the extra tool to your toolbar. You drag it over there.
Okay.
Let me see here, hold on.
Tools, the toolbar. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Single column. So let me see what I have here. But yeah, for this guy, I have only 2 selections, right? So if I go here, add toolbar, and single column, right? I'm going to grab this guy over here. Can I bring it over here? To my selections,
Gotcha.
right? And I'm done. Now that tool should be available here somewhere.
It's there.
Up there, the
It's
third
right
one.
here, yeah.
Yeah.
See? It's right there.
Oh,
Okay? So it's pretty customizable, actually. Let me see. Oh, yeah, there you go. Now I moved it into the same
Yeah.
group of tools. Okay?
I'm gonna have to work on that later and organize everything now that I know where that is.
Yeah, yeah. The key thing here, like, kind of don't put your selection tools within the clone stamp tools, right?
Right.
Keep the selection tools together, the cloning tools together, that type of stuff. And same thing, I think the same thing probably to remove it out. Yeah, just move it out and you should be done. Yeah, cool, right? So we talk about this. This is what Photoshop calls the workspace. And you have a few workspaces over here to work with. Let's say, if I go to Window and Workspace, I'm using the photography workspace. Let's change this to the essentials, the default. That's what comes out of the box in Photoshop. You're going to see everything is going to change places. See, there's a whole different workspace, right? So how do I do workspace? Is like, which tools do I use the most? Those are saved on my workspace, right? I can go here and do workspace, and I can do photography. This workspace is customized for my likes. I have my navigator. I need to remove this out of here. Let's say navigator is like if you have an image. Let me put an image over here, so that's going to make more sense. So navigator is like if I have this image blown out like that, I can go over here and move over here.
mhm.
Okay? I don't use this a lot because I know a shortcut. If you hit watch my cursor over here. Now it's a cross, right? If I hit the space bar and hold it, it became a hand. Now I can move it. That's much faster than going here and moving this stuff, right? Oh, I need that. Oh, too much. No shit. Now I'm going to spend time on this, right? Like that. Okay. So this navigator here is a tool that I really don't use. I could remove it from here. The way I can remove it, I just go over here, click on it, and drag it out. Now it's a floating panel. As a floating panel, I can go and just X out of it. Right? Now, if I put it back, let me do this. Workspace photography. It just saved it. It didn't ask me what I wanted to do. See, it's not there anymore. It just took away completely, which is fine. I don't use that tool anyway, right? And you can go back here into your workspaces and customize them. You can create your own workspace and pick the tools you want on it and create your own workspace. Or let's say you mess it up and you're like, crap, I messed it up. I delete something, I can't find it. I delete a tool, I can't find it. You can go to, as long as you are inside that workspace, like I can go and say reset workspace, you reset it to default format. Now my navigator is back in place. See? Another way to delete it, I think I can't do that. I thought I could, well, it's gone again. What did I do? See, it happens a lot. Reset workspace. I can close it. from here also, right? But I usually drag out and delete it. This is cool because now you make the Photoshop comfortable for you to use, right? Let's go a little bit through those tools here because you're already like 50 minutes into it. Let me show you how to create. Let's open up a layer. Let's open up a image, Photoshop, PSD image, right? I'm going to duplicate this image. To duplicate an image, you see that this bar here, I right click on it and just like duplicate. It's asking for the name, it adds a copy to it, right? And it says image name, copy. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is going through the image menu over here and duplicate. Same thing. I just think this is much faster. You click on it and you duplicate it. Right? You don't have to go all the way over there. This ruler here that you see, this tells which type of measurement you're using. If I right click on the ruler, I can see I can use pixels, inches, centimeters, millimeters, points, picots, and percent, right? How do I know what I'm using right now? Look down here. You have if you don't have this information here, click on that little arrow and choose document dimensions. You have a bunch of little informational things here and there that helps you to identify. You can go document size, say 85 meg. And then you can go profile, which kind of profile I'm using, dimensions. So let's say, oh, okay, I have this at 22 by 14 inches. How much is it in pixels? I want to see in pixels, right? Right click on the ruler and choose pixels. You're going to see at the bottom here, it will change. Now I have 6,700 pixels by 4,471 pixels. This is helpful because it lets you easily change from one thing to another. If you want to print, you want to see how set new dimensions to your print, right? This little guy here is the zoom, how much I'm zoomed into this image. I'm 25% in. How do I zoom in? How do I zoom out? Easy. Control plus zoom in. Control minus zoom out. Or you can change it here to, I can go from 33 to 100 and I'm there. I just think it's too time consuming. So I just go here and here. Control plus, control minus. Every time you go, there is another way to do this. Is it like Alt, Control?
It's space, control, and your mouse left and right.
There you go. Thank you. If you hit space, hold control, you see it turns into a plus sign. If you hold your left mouse and go to the right, you zoom in. You go to the left, you zoom out. Look. Right? That's pretty sweet also. I don't use these a whole lot. I use more. I don't know. I just think it's easier this way. But I like these a lot too. One other thing that you can watch in Photoshop, like just watch how your cursor changes as you click on stuff. It's going to give you good hints. All right, so we open an image. We talked about layers. We zoomed in, we zoomed out. We look at the rules and stuff, how to change the measurement. Talk about layer. This, what you're looking here, is a canvas. Photoshop calls it a canvas that you're painting on, right? So let's say I want to write something at the bottom of this image, but I want like I don't want to write on the image. I want to write outside of the image, but I don't have room. If I right click on the, let me go back to pixels here. So I'm going back my measurement to pixels here. right? If I right click on this tab on the bar here and go canvas size, now I can increase the size of the canvas. I can go, let's say I'm going to put something on the bottom. I can go from 4471 to 7000. And look, if I do this and go like, okay, look what happens, right? It adds to both. Let's undo that. I can, if I want to just increase the size of the canvas on the bottom, I go 5000 here and I anchor it. See the little arrow here is telling me, okay, it's anchored over here, it's going to increase on the bottom. Now it's just right there. Now I can go and put some text here if I want to. You also have a choice of colors, I guess. You can pick, let me go here. You can pick a color, white and black, foreground or background color, or you can pick from here. Let's see if I want this to be guy, blah, blah, blah. There you go. Right? That makes sense? It's really
That's
cool.
really cool. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Me either.
So this helps a lot especially when you're doing stuff for web, you want to add something, but you can also add an image to the top of the image. You can add some text to the top of the image. Canvas size, yeah, add text to the image. Okay, cool. Let me close this one. I'm going to open the JPEG version of it. What is it? Is this guy? Because I don't have all of those layers to get confusing. Every time you create a text, it creates a special type of layer called text layer, right? The text is totally, you can manipulate the text the way you want. Let's create some text here. Where was this wedding? Let's say this is going to be the album cover. Okay. So I'm going to click on the text, the little T here. As you're going to see, it depends. Let me show you something that I missed. I missed this. You may have a different format of your toolbar here. If you click on this little double arrow here, see, it's a short toolbar. Here is a long toolbar, right? This takes more space, so that's why I use this one here. It takes more, this one takes more real estate on my canvas. So that's why I keep this one over here. And you can see some of those tools, they have a little arrows, little small arrow over there. If you click and hold on this tool, it's going to give you a few options. Because here right now I have the rectangular, but if I want the ellipse, I need to hold and click here. Click and hold over here, right? Now I have the options. Selection tools, cropping tools, right? Eyedropper tools. This one don't have them. Sometimes we can bound this together to save room. That's what I should do for this. You see, you have all the, all you need to do, click on it and hold, right? Same thing for the text. If I click here and hold, now the select on the horizontal type tool. So I'm going to go over here. So if you look up here where I am right now, where my mouse is right now, those are the two options. They change depending on the tool that you have here. I'm going to, this is a selection tool. I can go over here and click on it, see how it all changed.
Mm-hmm.
Lasso tool, right? Cropping tool, right? Cloning tools. Text tool, now it changed also. This is just, okay. Let me close this a little bit here. Let's say I want to draw, I want to create a something on the top of this image to make it, to create that album cover. So the idea is, cool thing with Photoshop, like it's better if you know what you want at the end, what your final result is, you're going to be more successful in Photoshop. Then it makes it easier than if you go, let me try this. You're going to spend like hours and not get anywhere. There's so many choices here that you don't know. Let's say, oh, this is the album cover. I want to put like a white, semi-transparent bar on the top with their names. on it to go on the album cover, right? So the way I do this, I will create a new layer as always. I'm not duplicating the layer now. I'm sorry, I'm going to duplicate the background layer, Control J to duplicate or drag it to the thing. Now I have a new layer there. And I'm going to create a layer to create the white bar on the bottom, right? Underneath the text. I go over here, layer, there's a new layer, and I create a layer. And it creates a transparent layer right here. If I turn those two off, I just have the transparent layer there.
Wait, how did you make it a transparent layer?
It just creates automatically transparent.
Okay, when you hit Control J?
No, Control J is to duplicate the layer.
Oh,
So this one, Control J duplicates the current layer.
okay.
I'm creating a new layer.
Okay.
Right? So I go here into the new layer icon and just hit it. And if you mouse over and wait a little bit, it's going to tell you what it does. See, it creates a new layer right there. Right? So it creates a transparent layer. Now I'm going to go to my marquee tool over here. And I'm going to go all the way across. Look. I'm going to go this. This is my foreground color, and this is my background color over here. The little swatches here. If I can't, I'm using shortcuts for so long that I can't find stuff anymore. Where's my paint bucket tool? Damn it. Paint bucket. And I click in here. Why did it put it in black? Because black is my foreground layer, my foreground color, right? So let's undo. Let's do Control Z to undo it. You can see I have black and I have white. So, but I don't want black. I want white. You see the little arrows here? You just click one time on them and they flip, right? The shortcut for this, just hit X on your keyboard and they flip, right? So now I have white. If I want another color that's not black and white, I bring the foreground layer on and I click on it. Now I have my color picker.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do a light orange, just for the heck of it, just because we can. Let's make an ugly album. Let's go. Not digging that. Let me go over here. Kind of that. That's okay. If you know the how is it called?
Number?
Yeah, no, there's a hex code, I guess. That's right. You can go RGB or you can go hex code. So I'm a web guy. Like I said, I have a degree in computer science. I do a lot of web stuff. I know a lot of colors of my head. If I want white, I know it's FFFFFF. If I want black, I know it's 00000. If I want some type of gray, I know it's CCCCCC. Yeah, and if I want like neutral gray, I can do RGB. I can go 128, 128, 128. That's neutral gray right there. The gray that you see on our gray card, and the hex like 80, 80, 80. So let's go back and do the orange ugly one. What is it? And if you want to keep web safe, you can do like all web, but nowadays it's not an issue anymore. Monitors now are really good, but you can do only web colors. That there's no variance on them. All right, let's go. Let's add a type of orange, maroon, orange type of thing over here. Bring this a little bit over here. Yeah, that's fine. Now I go to my paint bucket. You can see here the foreground layer has changed colors. The foreground swatch has changed. I can just click on that on my paint bucket tool and click on that. Now I have an orange background there, right? Let's do something here. Yeah. So let's say, oh, you know what? I need this to be a little bit taller. I have it selected. Let's say I deselect it. Now I can't do anything with it, right? Now it's like, oh crap, how am I going to increase the size of this or change colors or anything like that? You can see you need to be working a layer that you have selected, right? So I have this layer over here. If I hold the control key, I guess, and click on the layer, you see I have no, this is called marching ants. This thing they call it marching ants, right? If I want to go back and select this layer again, I hold the control key and I click one time on the layer. Now I have the power again to edit that layer, right? Now I can go here and change colors and do everything. I want to make it a little bit taller. I hit Control T as in Ted. Now I have those handles here that I can drag it. Look. Right? Can make it in size I want. Let's keep it like that. Let's keep it like that for now. And then I hit enter. Now I have this thing. If I want to deselect, I can go layer. Oh, I can go layer and I click on select. And is that an unselect here or something like that?
Unselect is Control D.
Yeah, I know, but I'm
Oh, you're trying to find where it is.
I'm trying to find where it is. Oh boy.
It's on the select tab. Not
Isn't select tab?
No.
Deselect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you do Control A, you select the whole image. If you go like this, and if you want to deselect, the shortcut is Control D as in David, right? Control click select, Control D deselect. Now I'm going to add some text to this thing, right? I'm going to go to my text layer and watch what happens here. My text now is the same color as my background layer. If I type, I'm not going to see anything, right? I want to type white. I want a white text. I can either go by, I think I can do this from here. See how it's changed over here, right? Let me go back to the color again. Or I can click here too and go white. FF. All right. Now I'm going to deselect this guy. Now I have my foreground color as white. My text is going to be white. And I'm going to write on it. Watch my layer. Watch here, guys. Watch this part here. When I click, actually, I'm sorry. Watch my cursor first. See how my cursor is like a, I don't know what the name of the thing is. That's the text cursor. So if I'm over here on a different layer, it tends to, if a different tool, it changes to across. My text layer, it says, okay, I'm ready for your text. But now watch my layer here. When I click on the image, it creates a new layer, right? It creates a text layer that's going to allow me flexibility on that text as much as I want. And I'm going to go here, Martha and Terry. I think it's I. I can click on enter. Oh, but it's too much to the left. If I hit V as in victory on my keyboard and my right arrow, I can move. Or I can click V, grab the part of that layer and just move it around. Pay attention that I'm grabbing the text. If I grab this guy here, I'm going to be moving this guy. We don't want that, right? So watch on my layers here. Steve is the one. Yeah. Steve, this is that part that we tried to do earlier that I keep clicking and keep selecting different layer. Because I have my Photoshop set up to, when I click on a layer, select it, right? So if I click, look, I have layer 2 selected here, right? I'm going to rename this actually to text background. It's important to rename this thing because if you look at an image like 2 weeks from now, you have 30, sometimes I finish an image, I have like 50, 60 layers on it. And if there's no names, I don't know what they are, what they're doing, right? So now I have the text background layer selected, right? Watch, I'm on my move tool over here on the left side. And I got to this tool by pressing V as in Victor, right? So if I'm on my text, watch my layer when I click on the T on Terry. See how it moved over there? Now, if I click on here, watch where you're going to go. Layer 1. So.
And that's a setting that you changed in your.
It is. I think, Steve, that's a good question. I think I made that change manually on my. Oh, it's over here. Look, auto select. So, and you have a choice of auto selecting a layer or auto selecting a group, because you can also have a group of layers. Okay.
And that's on the selection tool itself?
No, it's on the on the move tool.
On the move tool.
One tool above the selection tool.
Got it.
Okay. So I have my auto select unchecked. Let's see what happens. Right now, my selection is over here, right? Martha and Terry. My auto select is not checked. I'm going to click on this layer. I'm still moving Martha and Terry. I'm going to click on this layer because now it's going to take whatever layer is selected here. That could be a pain in the butt.
Yeah, that's a very good.
That could be like very, very frustrating. So make sure you have this auto select here, right? So now I can go and I can move any layer I want just by clicking on it, right? All right. But look out, that font is ugly. I don't like that font. I go back to my layer, to my text tool layer. Watch my cursor when I get really close to the text. I'm moving close, and nothing happened. Why? Because I need to be on the text. There you go. I get really close to the layer and I select it, just like we do in Microsoft Word. And I pick a font from here. As I go through the fonts, it shows me some sample. That's cheesy. It's all right for this. I don't like that. Yeah, I like that one better. Right? I have this one here. Oh, but it's too small. I can go over here and say, oh, shit, my biggest font size is 72. No, I can go here and type it, 128, let's say, and hit enter. Boom, I have a bigger layer. I click out of it and I click enter to get out of the text tool. I push V and now I can move my text wherever I want to move it. Now on because I have my move tool select over here, right? I can go on the arrows and refine this. I can move this whatever I want and kind of refine it. So I move it over here. Oh no, it's too low. I can go to my arrow tools on my keyboard and just keep moving over there. And I know because I'm going to be sending this to the lab is going to cut a little piece of this. I can be totally on the edge. And there was something in the past that you could hit like either Control or Shift would move a little bit faster. I don't know why am I not doing it? Oh, I just keep like doing some shit here. All right. So now I moved over there. I'm kind of happy with this. That's cool and everything. But I don't like the orange. I really want that. Well, before I change the orange, let me change the opacity of this layer a little bit. Maybe make it a little bit transparent and make it look better. I go into my text background layer, right? Now I select over here, look at my opacity. I can either click on the arrow and watch. Oh, hold on. Now it's going to get a little bit interesting, right? Over there. I can do that way, or I can just, let me see if I can do that from here. I don't know. No, I can't. Oh, I can, I can't. So if I mouse over the word opacity, now my cursor just became a hand with like 2 arrows. I can just drag it to the left to change, look how the number is changing, right? Gives a way more control over it, right?
And how did you do that?
All right, go back. So I mouse over the word opacity.
Okay.
See how my cursor changes there? Watch. Can you guys see it? Can you guys see it?
Yep.
All right. Click on it and drag to the left. But I still don't like that orange. I still do not like that orange. I go back over here. I click not on the name, but Control and click on the layer. I select it. Now I have white here. And I can show you a trick. You can do the paint bucket thing. Look for that tool, paint bucket, and paint it white. Or, this was like, when I found out this shortcut many years ago, like, ah. Like I said, I'm lazy. I don't like moving mouse a whole lot. If I push the Alt, so I push Alt and I hit backspace, watch. If I push Control and hit backspace, watch. Background and foreground layer. Colors, I'm sorry. Background and foreground color. Alt, backspace will fill the selection with your foreground color.
What do you mean out?
The key Alt.
Alt, ALT.
Okay. I was
ALT.
like, yes.
It's damn foreigners. Can't speak the language. All right. And Control and backspace, background color. It's a very cool shortcut. Saves you tons of time instead of going, why am I paint bucket too? Click on it. I don't like that color.
So you're saying Alt space or Alt
Alt backspace.
Alt plus backspace.
Hold Alt and hit backspace.
Is to fill with the background color?
Alt fills with the foreground color, and Control fills with the background color. Make sense?
Yep.
Pretty cool, huh?
Just writing it down.
All right.
Yep.
Cool. Let's go white here, and let's unselect. White on white. I don't know if I like it or not. Kind of getting there. Kind of getting where I want to go. Let's play with this opacity a little bit more. Kind of like that. Yeah. Kind of. That's a little bit better. But the font is too flat. It's too flat for me. It can be improved, right? Now I can select my text layer and go over here. You see this FX key here? If I hold it, look, I have a bunch of stuff here. Those are styles for your text or for your layer, actually, any layer. But because I have like a text layer select, I can go here and I can have a drop shadow to that text. Look, oh, now it just popped, right? Look at that text. But we can play with opacity. Watch. We can have a different color.
I'm so glad I saw this before making these 2 senior albums I have to make.
Oh, there you go. We can change colors here if you want to.
No.
Right? No, let's do black, right? I'm just going to change opacity on this a little bit more. I can change the spread. I can change the distance. I can change the angle. Watch. I like that one. This has very little effect on it. Play with it a little bit. And now I'm looking at this that I'm just going to change it. It drives my wife crazy. I mean, when I'm like 1 pixel or more, because, why are you doing it? Because it's even odd number. I don't like it. Like you.
My daughter does that in the car with the radio and the temperature.
Isn't it like that? I same thing. It's ridiculous. It's just driving me crazy. But drop shadow is not the only thing you can do. You can combine. You can do an outer glow. Look, right? You can do a gradient outer glow, which is a whole new thing, or you can do a color, different color. Man, that's cheesy. Oh my goodness.
Beautiful.
It's great if it's 1983 all of a sudden.
Ah,
Day glow pink.
yeah. I kind of like that one. That's not a bad one, is it? The heavy black, just like the drop shadow. That's why it's not that bad. So, and I can turn on and off to see how it looks. It kind of popped a little bit over there. I can decrease the opacity on that. See, I can manipulate each one of them individually. Like that. That is all right at this point now. Now I look at this, I don't like the white bar. I really do not like it. I go back. So now you can see here on my text layer, I have all of these effects here, which is really cool because now I can go back to it, turn it on and off, right? Let's see this, right? Or I can go back and change it. I double click on it and I'm back right where I was and to change it. Just double click on it, you're right back in there, right? And I'm going to play, and I have this guy here, I can collapse this. I can collapse this, right? Now I can go over here, say, I still don't like this. See the importance of naming a layer, already like with 4 layers here, and a very simple thing we're doing. Now I can go here and say, I still don't like this, too strong, too strong. And my opacity right now is at 48. I'm going to bring it down to 20s, that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty.
That's better, isn't it? But I'm still like, no. Let me turn it off.
23, it needs to be even.
There is actually a cool way to make it, yeah. There's a cool way, there is an easy way to make it like center or whatever it is. I can show you that later. You know what? Maybe just the text is going to be cool. I'm going to go over here, hit the V, or go over here to the tool and select my move tool. And I click on this guy and I move it around a little bit. Like that. What do you guys think?
Good.
Now my bar is off center. I need to move this bar over here. And I'm going to adjust it using my arrow keys. What do you guys think? Bar or no bar?
I like the bar.
I like the bar.
Yeah,
Bar?
The bar with that
Yeah.
opacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I hate it, but you guys like it. Let's keep it there. Just kidding.
I'm with you, Clay. I don't like the bar.
There you go. Go, Jack. High five, brother. So, yeah. That would make a nice, and I can even like, maybe I don't like this because of this. I can do a Control T. So all I did now, I was on my text layer. I clicked on my text background layer on the image. Watch my layer. Is going to my layer palette here on the right side is going to change that layer. I hit Control T, or I can go Edit, Transform, right, and Scale. I have the handles. Now I can pull it like that. Either that way or a shortcut, Control T. You get the same handles, and you just pull it off like that. There you go. Now it needs to be centered here, right? I click on the text. See, I'm just manipulating the image normally, like that. I leave the bar over there. You guys like the smaller bar or the taller one?
I like to band it across the middle bit.
Okay, so this is the cool thing. Let's say now I'm like, shit, I don't know. I need to get somebody's opinion on this, right? Just let me ask you. I'm going to ask my wife. She's going to stand over here. We're going to fight 15 minutes about it. and decide on something else, right? But I'm gonna ask her. Now, like, oh, I need to redo all of this? No, I don't. This is the power of Photoshop. I can click on this layer, text layer, and I'm holding Control key and click on the text background layer. Now I have 2 layers selected. If I do Control G, as in Gary, watch those 2 layers. What's gonna happen to them? I just group them now. Now they are grouped. Now I can work like 50, 60 layers and keep organizing them into groups. The same way I do with the layer, I can go and rename the group and go text layers, right? And this is going to be background copy. Okay. So now I have my text layers. We can make it visible, invisible, and stuff like that. Now I can have several versions of this. Let's say, okay, now I want to have a version with a smaller bar to show my wife. I grab my text layer group and I drag it to the new layer. Now I just copied that group. Look, now I have a text layer copy. I'm going to rename it to smaller, and I'm going to turn off, because as you can see, it puts right on the top of the other one, right? I'm going to turn off the bottom one. I'm going to expand it and click on my text background layer over here and do a Control T, and I'm going to do this, and I click on my text and I bring it down a little bit. Now Dan is downstairs watching Netflix. Danny, yeah, come over here, let me show you something. Now? Yeah, now. So she comes running up and I go, what do you think, babe? This one or this one? This one or this one? And she goes, neither. And then you start from scratch, right? So you see how it's easy to work with group, getting more information and organizing your layers and stuff. In layers, guys, this is like the tip of layers, right? I mean, whoever works with Photoshop, layers is the main thing in Photoshop. I mean, we can do a lot with them. When you start digging through those layer opacity and layer styles thing, I mean, it gets crazy. You can do a lot of stuff with layers. Right?
This has been awesome, but I'm going to have to bow out. My husband's wanting me to come see the cake he made for my birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Birthday.
When's your birthday?
Awesome.
When is it?
Today.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you for hanging out with us.
From scratch, and it's done, so I want to go see and taste it.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. I'm pretty much done here too. But thanks for staying, Kelly.
Thanks for this. This was great.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye. So guys, I think it's a good stopping point.